Hey everyone, I'm Joe. Today it's time for me to do my monthly wrap up for May 2019. Now, there are 15 books that I read in May, which makes it a very good month for me, comprising 3 genres. Those genres are science fiction, fantasy, and humour. Obviously, science fiction is the heaviest, and that is always to be expected with me. However, this video will actually contain 17 books, not 15, because in the month of April, the previous month, I completely forgot to talk about the 2 ebooks that I had read. Purely, I think, because the other books I read in April were all physical books, and I read only 2 ebooks. So I think I just overlooked them, frankly, in my enthusiasm talking about the physical books. So I will start off this video with talking about those 2 ebooks from last month, then I'll get on to talking about the current month. And this will mean this video is going to be a fairly long one, I think. I'll try and keep it short, but that doesn't really happen with me often. Anyway, the first ebook from April that I forgot to talk about is The Black God's Drums by P. Djèlí Clark. This is fantasy, and it is classified as steampunk, at least if you go by Goodreads classification anyway. And it is a really interesting and well written fantasy novella that I thought was fantastic and that I would highly recommend. Now, as far as the plot goes, there is a young girl who has a mental link to a god. There are many gods within this world. She lives in this city and she survives by begging, and when the opportunity arises, by stealing. She has no parents, nobody wants her. There are many other children like her that live, outside of normal society, polite society, as it does in real life, frankly, which is extremely unfortunate, and frankly, something that hopefully gets rectified in time. And she does not want, obviously, this to be her whole life. She doesn't want to live like this for the rest of the time. It's a horrible life, frankly, just living day to day on what she can sort of scrounge up. So she wants to leave the city, possibly have an adventure and make her own way, her own money, and be independent. She finds a way that she might be able to do this, although it's not an easy way, obviously. It involves a conversation with her god that she got linked to in her head, as I mentioned. And there is also another significant event revolving around a very large incoming storm that will hit the city and do quite a lot of damage if nothing is done about it. And the plot goes from there. This is a novella. I don't want to say too much more because of the short length. I will spoil things. But the writing is really, really good. The characters are great. The world building is really, really good. And the interactions and the way the speech is between characters in particular is really, really impressive as well. The characters, their word usage and the way they talk to each other is frankly fantastic. And I really enjoyed this aspect. And I'd recommend this book just to experience that part of it because I was really impressed overall. The second book from last month is The Tea Master and the Detective by Aliette de Bodard. This is a novella set within the Zuya universe. This is a universe that I have not personally experienced until this novella, although she has written several other novellas and multiple short stories within it. And now that I've read this particular novella, I will definitely have to look into reading the other short stories and novellas within it because I really enjoyed it. Now, the idea of this one is that there is a detective called Long Chow. She is investigating a crime and she ends up finding this ship called the Shadow's Child. It is a sentient spaceship which has organic parts, but it's also obviously mainly mechanical as well. And she has to interact with this ship, and they go off to find a body, the victim of a crime, and it leads to some very interesting conversations and interactions between the two of them. Because this story is focused on just 2 characters, almost for the whole of it, really, between a human woman and a sentient spaceship that has been alive for a long time. It's a curious interaction, an odd one that I have come across similar things, but not often. although not in this particular way. And frankly, again, like the previous novella, I would recommend this for those interactions between the characters and the way their minds work. It's like a meeting of minds with different outlooks, of course, because one is human, one is sort of grown and sort of manufactured to be quite human-like, but obviously it's not human inside, it's of course a spaceship, so it's a very interesting mixture, and one that I would recommend you read about because it's just really interesting and fun overall. The next thing that I read, and this time in May, so I'm actually now going to be up to date, is Snow White Learns Witchcraft by Theodora Goss. Now, I read this because I know that Kelsey, known as the Fancy Hat Lady Read, also really wants to read this. Or did you read it already? I can't remember now, I'll have to check that up. And lately I've been having quite a lot of success with going by the recommendations and the enthusiasm by certain other booktubers on what they have been reading. One of those people is Kelsey, so I thought I'd read this, and I'm glad I did because this was really good and I enjoyed it immensely. Now this is a collection of 8 short stories and 23 poems, all by Goss. You know, this is not a multi-author collection. And overall, I greatly enjoyed the 8 short stories. The 23 poems were kind of irrelevant to me because, as I've said before, as you may know, poetry I just don't understand. I don't understand what it's trying to achieve most of the time. So the poetry was sort of wasted on me, frankly, at least for now. Hopefully at some point I might be able to figure out how poetry works and I might read poetry that I actually understand. But that wasn't this month, sadly. So the poetry was wasted. The short stories were not wasted on me, however. I greatly enjoyed them. They are, some of them anyway, fantasy retellings of old tales. Some of them are new ideas. It's an interesting mixture of short stories, great writing ideas, and some really nice stories that just really make you smile and you can't help liking. Obviously there are darker elements because these are fantasy, so you know they're always quite dark and in some cases quite grim elements to them, but there's still an element of lightness that is always present throughout the tales, and that is what I like in these sort of stories actually. Yeah, that interaction between light and dark and how it's used is really nice to see, and I just would recommend this book because it's really well written and really fun. Next is the first physical book that I read in May, and that is Blue Mars by Kim Stanley Robinson. This is the third book in the Mars trilogy. I read Red Mars and Green Mars in April, and this was, like the previous 2 books, a reread. I actually read the whole trilogy about, 4 years ago now. Greatly enjoyed it at the time. I did a separate review of the whole trilogy, which I'll link in the description box below. I'm not going to say too much about this because I've already done a whole separate review and talked about it in a previous one as well, so I've already talked about this more than enough. It is a great big trilogy based around the idea of the colonisation of, unsurprisingly, Mars, and the way this could in theory work. We also see a set of fictional characters, and it's expansive, epic, immense. I still love this book. I loved it the first time I read it. I still do. It's got the epic scale, characters, world building, political ramifications of multiple different characters and their decisions, character interactions, and a lot more. This is a big novel and a big trilogy, which I would recommend. Just know that it's a big trilogy and it's quite deep as well, so it might take you a while to get through, but it is worth it in the end. I would greatly recommend this trilogy overall. Next up is a trilogy that I read, and these are ebooks, and that trilogy is Destroyer, Void Wraith and Eradication, all by Chris Fox. This is the Void Wraith trilogy, and this was actually an experiment because up until I decided to buy these from Amazon, I had never heard of them or the author before. This was an experiment in that I thought that I would go to Amazon, onto the Kindle store, and see if there's anything that caught my eye on the first pages of each subcategory within the science fiction main category. and for a fairly cheap price. I just wanted something sort of fun and easy to read that might be a good break between other books, because I've just read several more heavier books and I knew that I was planning to read several more heavier books. So I thought something a bit lighter and a bit more straightforward and fun would be in order, and this trilogy does that because it is very much inspired by computer games as much as books, and indeed by movies. There is an eclectic cast of characters who are the crew of a spaceship. A big bad sort of alien presence and sort of forces start coming into the human galaxies that we inhabit. Although there isn't just humans as well, there's several other sort of humanoid-ish races, and we do not like the alien races, obviously, this big one, because it's obviously an evil alien race and they want to destroy all of humanity and all life other than itself. And obviously there is a big series of battles. This is military science fiction. The plot was straightforward, fairly predictable. The ideas, again, simple but well written, and this did exactly what I wanted it to be. This was fun, straightforward, and a break between other books, and I liked it for that reason, if nothing else. I mean, it's nothing that I'm going to say, oh yes, I will remember this book forevermore. It's fairly forgettable, but it's just enjoyable, which is exactly what I wanted. So if you want something easy to read, then I would recommend these, especially as you can buy them for an extremely low price indeed on the Kindle store. The next book that I read was Europe at Midnight by David Hutchinson. This is the second book in the Fractured Europe series, and I'm kind of wary about saying too much about the plot of this at all, because this follows on not entirely like dead after the events of the first book, which is Europe in Autumn, which I have over there, but it does follow on in an interesting way. There is a dead body that has been found within a European city. This triggers off some rather unusual events, and I'm just too paranoid of saying anything, because there is a significant sort of science fiction element, an idea that this book, and indeed the first book, starts to go into. I don't want to say what it is, because the exploration of this element and learning that it exists in this world is one that is quite important, I think. Knowing that it's already there before we get into the book might spoil things. I'm almost paranoid of saying anything, frankly, about this book, which makes it difficult to talk about. I greatly enjoyed this book. I'm not sure whether I enjoyed it as much as the first book, Europe in Autumn, because that book had the unknown factor going for it, and also I actually liked the characters more in Europe in Autumn. The characters in this were not as interesting to me, frankly. It was still well written, still has some amazing ideas, and where this is going to lead to, because I know that the characters in this book, which are different from the first book, do interact with the characters from the first in the third or the fourth book, and this is 4 books long. So where this will go and how the characters will interact is going to be very interesting in the future, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing how that turns out. The next thing I read was Tokyo on Foot by Florent Chavouet. Now this is an interesting one, because this is a graphical sort of travel book essentially. He went over to Tokyo, Japan, obviously, in 2005, I think it was, or around then, and he spent 6 months there whilst his girlfriend was on an internship, and all he did was just wander around Tokyo by foot and indeed by bicycle, and just draw and paint scenes as he saw them happening at the time. And there is all sorts of artwork on these pages. Every single page is obviously entirely pictures with his dialogue on them. And I really like the artwork. The one thing that slightly makes this a bit hard to read at times, well, we'll look at, I'm not really sure how you phrase it, is his opinions are not the nicest. He's quite arrogant, the author is actually, and his opinions on things are quite not the nicest. You know, he talks about, he's quite sort of dismissal of somebody that doesn't fit his idea of what, you know, an attractive person is. He sort of makes jokes about fat people repeatedly throughout the book at times, and he seems to have a bit of an issue with police as well, where he keeps being quite sort of unpleasant towards the police, and certain other types of people that he stereotypes, but in a slightly overly negative way. Stereotyping can work, and indeed it sort of does make it amusing at times, but he does it so negatively and so often that it gets a bit like, really? You have to be negative again? Can you not be optimistic for a change? I did enjoy it overall. It's just I wish he could have done a bit more of an optimistic view on a few things, because it did seem quite negative and a bit aggressively negative, frankly, at times, which was unfortunate. Next up, I read another trilogy, and that trilogy is Behind the Lines, Hold the Line, and Press the Line, all by Chris Fox again. And this is the Ganog Wars trilogy. This is the sort of sequel trilogy to the trilogy that I just mentioned a minute ago, the Void Wraith one, and this is for exactly the same reason as that trilogy. This follows on exactly from the events of that first trilogy. There is still a large sort of bad and evil alien presence. Obviously it's in a slightly different way this time, because they kind of beat them back in the first trilogy, as you know they would. In this one it's sort of come back in a slightly different way. They interact with different people this time. It's still essentially the same crew of people, except this time obviously they're in a slightly different situation for plot reasons, and it's a continuation, you know, of that easy to read, straightforward plot, big action scenes, character interactions that are fun and straightforward. The character development is there, but it is very light. You know, it's not like they go into depth in any one character, and it does exactly what I wanted it to do, which would be a fun and straightforward break between other books, which is something I greatly enjoyed. The next book I read also is an ebook. I read a lot of ebook in May, and that is The Djinn Falls in Love and Other Stories, edited by, and I'm going to have to read these, Mahvesh, Murad and Jared Shurin. I did check and I did think that I'm saying these names correctly, but I could be mistaken, of course. Now, this is a fantasy short story collection based around, as you might guess from the title, around the idea that all these short stories are somehow related to Djinns, which is a very old and classical fantasy creature that has been used in many other elements throughout the year, and obviously Genie, so this is, you know, in other cultures. So this is an interesting mixture by multiple different authors. Some of them I'm already well aware of, like Nedia Corfu and Amal El Motar. There's also a short story, or that's actually a extract from American Gods by Neil Gaiman, and a few other bigger well-known authors as well. It's an interesting collection. Overall, I liked most of the short stories. Some of them were just a bit strange, as is the case with most short story collections, where there will always be a few that are just odd and you don't understand where they're going and what they're trying to achieve. Most of them generally do work on the whole. I really enjoyed the collection. It was varied. The ideas and takes on what makes up a Djinn and how it interacts with the world is really interesting, because some of these are very traditional Djinns and very traditional fantasy. Some of them are near enough science fiction, frankly, with a kind of a technological version of a Djinn. And in some cases they've got the traditional Djinn in a technological situation, which is very curious indeed. I really enjoyed this collection, and I am very happy that I read this, because this was very curious, and I am fairly confident that Kelsey, known as the Fantasy Out Loud Reads, which I've already mentioned earlier, wants to read this. Kelsey, I expect you will like this collection, because yeah, just run this. I'm almost certain you'll like it. This is definitely your kind of book. Next, I read The Portable Door by Tom Holt. This is the first novel within the J.W. Wells and Co. universe. It is set around a sort of what appears to be a fairly stuffy and traditional sort of London office building, which deals with accountancy and stocks and shares and that kind of thing. But actually, it's not a stuffy company that deals with stocks and shares. Not exactly, because actually it's inhabited by goblins. The boss of the company is actually a magician. There are fae that work at the company as well, and the new employee Paul gets stuck in the middle of this, and the plot is weird and wonderful and frankly bonkers. And that is Tom Holt's writing style. He uses a real situation, twists it and turns it and makes it essentially crazy. It's just really fun and enjoyable. It's really inoffensive because he doesn't. It's mad humour, and it's not focused at any one particular person, and indeed he doesn't really stereotype in this as well. It's just mad cap and enjoyable, and it's something that I needed at the time. Just something a bit lighter, but still with a really complex plot. Because actually, the plot in this, what do you think a humour book might have a more simple plot? Actually, this is quite complex in ways. You do have to read the book and read it quite heavily to actually understand the plot, because there's a lot of twists and a lot of intricate details that you could easily miss actually, and that would make the book very puzzling if you didn't pick up on all the details. So it's really one that I really did enjoy overall. The next book is the final ebook of this video. The next two books are physical books, and that is The Only Harmless Great Thing by Brooke Bollander. Now this is a science fiction book set in the real world, obviously in an alternative history as such. And essentially this is a world devastated by war, because obviously, and pollution, and well, basically everything that we've currently got now just amplified. And one of the things that we need in this particular world is disposal of nuclear waste, and indeed, and we do this by employing, and this sounds going to sound strange, but it actually does work, elephants. Elephants, as we know, are highly intelligent, like dolphins. We essentially get elephants using sign language and such to essentially work for us, or with us, in many cases like slaves near enough, to get rid of dangerous waste, which is killing the elephants, although there is a lot of human workers doing it as well. Obviously humans are far more numerous, and this is an interesting sort of ecological story based around the treatment of elephants, but also just animals in general, about using an elephant as the example, but it could be any animal. How we are damaging the world around us, and how we should try to improve the situation if we actually want there to be a world left at the end of the day, not just a wasteland. This I really liked because this has a lot of little elements within it spread throughout it. It's a short novella, which I don't want to say too much more of because I will spoil elements if I do, but it covers a lot. It's intricate, nuanced, lots of interesting ideas, fantastically well written, and I will probably have to reread this at some future point to get the other nuances that I definitely missed this time around, because there is a lot of them. It's quite sort of finely tuned, I suppose you could say in that way. It's little details here and there that are very easy to miss, and I'm almost certainly did miss some of them. But overall, I greatly enjoyed this and I would recommend it. But just be aware that, depending on your mindset, this might not be the most cheerful thing to read, so you have to be in a sort of slightly stronger frame of mind, I suspect, at the time. The next book that I read, and the penultimate book of this video, is The Shadow Rising by Robert Jordan. This is the fourth book in the Wheel of Time series. I am reading throughout the whole series throughout this year with Andrea, whose channel I will link in the description box below. It's called Infinite Text as well. And we both greatly enjoyed reading this book. We had some really interesting conversations, and Andrea, I really enjoyed reading about reading this book with you and talking to you about the book, and indeed looking forward to the 5th book, which we'll be reading in June. This is a book that I'm not going to talk about too much now because frankly it's a 4th book in a big ongoing series. It's basically Robert Jordan wanted to write his epic version of The Lord of the Rings, and this is extremely well known. They are currently working on the television series of it. As of this moment, they're actually doing the casting, I believe. So I think it's planning to get initial filming started at the end of this year or maybe next year. So it won't be far off. And this is a big, complex plot. Sometimes it's a bit drawn out more than it has to be. Sometimes it's faster than it needs to be. So the pacing can not always work perfectly, but overall it's pretty good. The plot is long, complex, really interesting characters, world, and overall I really enjoyed it. I will probably talk about this as a whole once I've read the entire series, which will be over a year from now, considering the amount of books. The final book that I read was In Your Dreams by Tom Holt. This is the 2nd book in the J.W. Wells & Co. Universe. It follows on fairly closely actually to the previous book, with the same company obviously in London and the same main character. This time the troubles that he has relates to a promotion of sorts that he has to take, and this leads to a few problems, like him dying, for instance, which is always problematic when you're not preparing to die, amongst other things. And his girlfriend leaves him, although does she, you're not sure. It's all strange and weird and mad, and it works because it's just so crazy that you kind of want to know what is all this weirdness leading to. And indeed, like the previous book, it's just weird, wonderful, and just a lovely break between all the books. And I really did enjoy this overall. I like Tom Holt's sense of humour. It's crazy and inoffensive, which is ideal because you can't really go wrong. You can't be depressed whilst reading these books. They're just mad and they just make you smile, frankly. So with that said, that is actually it for all of the books that I've read in both May and indeed the 2 that I forgot to talk about in April. If you've read any of these books or would like to, then please leave a comment and we can have a discussion about them. If you have any suggestions on books or authors you think I might like based on what I've talked about, then again please leave a comment, because I'm always interested and very eager to read new authors and new books, because obviously that's what my booktube channel is here for, well, part of it anyway. All the links to the other booktubers and to the reviews that I've done on some of these books individually I will link in the description box below, as well as all my social media links can be found there. And with that said, that is it for this video, so thank you for watching and I'll see you another day. Bye for now.